Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Feedback Live, San Diego Comic-Con 2012. We're here right now to talk about video games, and you can't talk about games without talking about The Last of Us, which is inarguably one of the biggest games here. Bruce and Neil from Naughty Dog are here to talk about the game. Guys, thank you for being here. We spoke a lot at E3 about it as well. Bringing a game like this to Comic-Con, though, is a new experience. 5 years ago, you think Comic-Con, maybe we shouldn't bring the game there. Who really is going to talk about it? But you were talking about how your panel that you guys had, it was hard to decide what to cram into an hour because people want to know so much about the game here. So talk about a little bit about what you guys talked about at the panel and, you know, what the reception's been from that panel.
Well, I think I was at Comic-Con the last time, like 15 years ago, where it was like comic books.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right.
Just
it's
long
like
boxes
a completely
in a
different thing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet the panel was, we have a lot to talk about. We revealed a new character yesterday. W. Earl is a new actor that we're revealing, a new character, Bill. And so we wanted to talk about that. But, of course, we have kind of a mixed crew. Some people, we did a show of hands. Some people had seen the demo from E3, and some people hadn't, so we want to show the gameplay as well, so you can see in context what you're going to be actually playing with the joystick in your hand.
Right.
So, and then, of course, we just want the spotlight and just go like, hey, dude, look at us, we're awesome.
Yeah, we
like,
made this. We're behind the scenes, but this is all about us.
It was actually really cool, like, standing outside, seeing the line forming, like, holy crap, all these people are waiting in line to see this thing. It's like
weird.
It's very
we
humbling.
make video games, man. We're supposed to be in a dark closet. Like
we're supposed to be the ones waiting in line to see something.
Right. We have this conversation every year when we go to PAX. We do panels at PAX, X-Play panels at PAX, and then Comic-Con. And much in the same way that you guys make your game, we make our show. You've been to our studio. We make our show in a studio. We don't think that people watch it. You know, we know that people do. You know that people play your games.
Yeah.
But even at something like E3, it's all industry folk, and we want to talk to you guys anyway. And then you come here to this thing, it's like, holy, these are the people in their living rooms.
Yeah.
These are the ones that buy the game.
Yeah.
So that must be really cool for you guys.
It is super cool. I mean, I think we're with Troy and Ashley and walking around, and like they'll get pulled aside all the time, like oh, and we're all just like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And then one time yesterday, some guys that are in like
a Jack and Daxter. There was a guy
school,
like also wearing a Jack and Daxter cosplay. I was like, oh, super cool.
and they're like, are you Neil and Bruce? And we're like,
why,
yes,
yes,
we
we
are. Like, hello.
You guys want a picture?
Fun.
Like, no. We're like, no, please, let's take a picture together.
It's by no means something that you're striving for. We just want to make a game that we want to play, and that's it. So it's really nice to see that it's appreciated by people. That's as simple as it gets.
On the other end of things, have you had any really weird fan moments since you've been here? Anything you're like, this is maybe not the attention?
No, I would love that. Fans out there, if you hear me,
it was cool. We saw 4 Nathan Drake cosplayers in the line for The Last of Us.
And that was cool.
Yeah, we had a guy that came to the X-Play panel dressed as Nathan Drake, and then the next day he came to my autograph signing, and he was dressed as what he considered to be one of the monsters from The Last of Us. He had literally just, everything that you guys have put out there, he had speculated as to what he would look like in that environment
Really?
if he were infected.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that maybe because I was just talking about The Last of Us to the person in front of him in line, he was like, oh, I gotta be somebody from The Last of Us. So maybe that wasn't necessarily the case. But what's the most impressive? You've seen a lot of Nathan Drakes, obviously. Anything that you're like, wow, we should hire this guy to come in and work on some game design?
Oh, game design?
Yeah, like, you know.
I don't know. I was pretty impressed with the ingenuity of the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy, who actually could engineer how to inflate a thing around him and keep it mobile and breathe and stay alive. And
and he has somebody
like
just
that guy
following
engineer
him.
some
He has
things.
somebody following, just clearing people so they don't pop it by mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a lot.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, we're powered by Alienware. We've got a lot of questions online from your fans. Moy over there from G4TV.com has questions from the fans.
Hi.
So, Moy, a question for
do.
these gentlemen, please.
I have so many questions. I have one from Alienware follower Jay. Are there going to be any elements of free roaming gameplay, like to explore part of the city, or is it strictly like campaign?
Well, we want to give you enough. So it's a world that's been decimated by this plague. In 20 years, nature has been growing back, reclaiming what we know as the familiar. So with that, we want to that just entices us as players. Like, we want to explore a little. But at the same time, we want to get to certain story beats to make Joel and Ellie's characters really come alive and get to the conflict and have the growth between this relationship that we want. So there's going to be enough to elicit the survival aspects of scavenging and finding things, and also being able to just see beautiful Naughty Dog art like we always try to create. And but at the same time, we want to get to these moments.
Yeah. It's always a hard balance to strike, giving the player enough freedom so they have a sense of exploration, a sense of choice, but keeping track of the pacing to make sure you're always engaged in the storyline.
I would imagine I don't know how to make games, which is why I have a difficult time judging any game that is made because I'm like, I don't know how much work goes into this. But I imagine that must be one of the most challenging balancing acts in a game like this. When you create this incredibly robust and vibrant world and people are like, I want to see all of this, but you also have a really good story that you want to tell, and finding that fine line.
Well, you also
really
need
tough.
to ship the game.
Yeah, and you also, unless
you
you're like a
actually need
Blizzard,
to, like,
then you
get
take
it
all
out.
the time you need.
Yeah. We don't have a money machine in the back or somebody's just cranking out, like, we keep pumping out dollars, man. Like, we don't have that. So, so we just got production is a factor, but at the same time, we've tried to add some other things, incorporate more story into the exploratory aspects of the game. So if you venture off course a little bit and go explore, like, some rooms and some other hallway, other paths, etc., minor path branching, then you're going to see other contextual looks. We started talking about this in the panel yesterday, and the E3 stage demo. You see this poster, and Ellie asked about, like, I've seen these all over the place, but we walked past it. But there's a glow around it, like it means that you can interact with it. And when you interact with that, you're going to get something that's going to reveal a little bit more about those characters and the dimensionality that Ellie was born after the plague and Joel was born before.
And you get to see their different perspectives and kind of get hints about their backstory. But all those things are optional, so you can kind of go as deep as you want in the story.
And we place those kind of like embedded sort of around, like some are on the main path, some are on like tangent paths, etc. So along with scavenging for items, you're also going to find these story moments too.
Cool. All right. Just taking a quick step back, a suggestion for you: World of Uncharted craft.
Oh, hey.
I'll play
Hold on,
it.
hold on.
I'll do
It's
it.
a suggestion.
How do you spell that?
I don't know.
He's got a
It's
pen.
never been done before, but I feel if you put world and craft in it, it'll be really good. I don't know. Just something I'm spitballing here. More, another question
If
from
I
the
can just
fan.
hang out with Nathan Drake in the game, just endlessly, I'll do that. Just sit and just watch. Like, hi.
Now we know.
we can get to Noel North if you want.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll talk afterwards.
The
but-
world's creepiest minigame. Just press A to remain seated with your hands under your head like this.
So Matt from Alienware Arena wants to know, how realistic can we expect this game to be? Will we actually have limited resources like bullets, supplies like food and water, or unlimited ammo? What direction are you guys going in?
I mean, again, it comes down to pacing and fun. So we want to limit resources that are going to use on your kind of core mechanics. So that's like fighting, brawling, interacting with Ellie. You're always going to have to scavenge to find stuff like that. We toyed with the idea of food and water, but at the end we found that it just made it too niche, it kind of ruined the flow of the game.
Right.
So that becomes more of a story element than a scavenging
at
element.
some point, you're designing reality, and it's like we don't want to design reality. We want to make a good game.
Yeah.
So what are the core mechanics, etc., that are like palpable and accessible to a player that I understand, like the risk rewards and sort of the payoffs. Of
I
what I'm
get
gonna
I
do
get
and
the
what I'm
tone
gonna
of the
do.
world, but
Yeah.
we don't want it to become a chore. As soon as it starts becoming a chore, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it for you guys. That stuff's not fun, so don't ask about it anymore. That is not fun at all. That's what the real world is. And we play games to escape the real world,
I don't
which is
want
not
to
fun
eat anymore. I still want the pill that you can take that just makes me full. And I'm like, yeah. And I
wanna visit
eating to
Wonka's
just be-
Chocolate Factory.
I just want it to be a pleasure. I just want it to be something I indulge in, but
Right.
it's not a necessity.
We need a Joel
you know?
push-up mini game so he could stay in shape.
That's good.
It just would be terrible. We have time for one more question
All
from
right.
the fans.
Ryan wants to know, if the zombie apocalypse or the plague really did happen, would you rather have Joel or Ellie by your side?
Oh, that's
You have
a
to pick
good
one.
That's a hard
Good
one.
Sophie's
question.
choice.
How do I answer this without sounding creepy?
I know.
It's the internet. You can sound as
That's
creepy
exactly
as you
where
want.
I was going.
Because she's underage now.
Oh.
But she
Oh,
won't
boy.
be. You got to have something to live for. You protect
Yeah.
her. Joel's already had a life. See, that's a safe answer. And then when she's 18, she can pay you back. That's
Does-
the free
I'll take Ellie because she got more of a sense of humor. Joel would just kind of be a downer.
Well, if Ashley Johnson still plays Ellie, like in this fictitious like question, yeah, I'm all about.
So
Yeah.
2 Ellies, no
Two
Joels?
Ellies.
To Ellie.
So
Yeah.
basically what you're
Joel.
saying is Troy Baker's
We got the
worst
beards
person
to
in
be
the world
Joels.
who's
We
gonna
are
be
the
apocalypse.
Joels. We are like
So I'll take Joel, and you guys can have Ellie, and then we'll see you guys maybe
Deal.
on
Up.
yeah.
Deal.
Yeah.
And at some
Pittsburgh,
point-
Pittsburgh in the hotel lobby. We'll
Cool.
be like by the scaffolding.
Just
See
don't
you there.
shoot me, because I don't, I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
So.
Moy will be the girl in the corner
With me,
staring
yeah.
at Nathan Drake just like this. You'll be fine.
I'm fine. Just leave me here. Yeah.
Guys, well, thank you so much for your time. Big round of applause for these two gentlemen right here. You brought up the E3 stage demo. For the people at home that didn't see it, we're going to roll that right now, and then we'll be right back with Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, who are going to talk about the great work that these two gentlemen do.
Yay.
Yeah.
Nothing. Fucking A, man. Look what what the fuck? Tourist! Over
Damn
here!
it.
He's got a fucking gun!
Get ready!
Fuck you!
You okay?
It's nothing.
Motherfucker!
Okay. Now what?
Get your ass up. Take it easy. Take it easy. Oh, fuck. Let him go. You fucking drop him. Shit. Come here. Shit. I know that sound. I got you now, motherfucker.
Hey, asshole! Oh, man. Hey, good job with all the, killing and stuff.
Come on.
We should search these rooms.
Quiet.
Down here. I'm telling you, gunshots.
Yeah, I hear 'em.
All right, I got this. Be careful. Fuck!
Holy shit, Joel!
Keep it together. Where's this fucker? He's in here!
Great game, terrible acting. Let's get into it with the
Yes.
film I just created.
Greatest segue ever.
Troy
And speaking
Baker,
of,
Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, thank
for
you.
being on the show. Troy and I have known each other forever, and I always want to have him on to talk about this stuff. But I wanted to have you on as well, and we've spoken about this. I think that the relationship that the two of you guys have really drives, I think, a lot of the game forward. And I want to talk to you guys about how you created that together. So speak very complimentary about each other. right
be
now.
good now. Go. I don't know. I think from the very beginning, and I think we may have talked about this too before, is that with this audition process, which Naughty Dog really spends a lot of time doing, they wanted to make sure that even just off screen the characters we clicked, because it's so hard to turn that element on when you're on stage if you don't have it off. And we walked in and she went through a battery of people to find Joel, because they cast
And was
Ellie
battered.
first, and literally was battered.
No way.
And there was just something when I walked in, I was like, I like you. We hugged and went right into it. So
Is that all it takes? Just hug at
that's
an
what
audition?
there's
God,
a book.
I suffered for
right?
15 years.
I
should've
read a
been giving out
pamphlet
hugs.
about auditioning, and it says hug the person you're auditioning with. And it was just immediately. That's what it is, indeed.
There he is.
So we just walked in, and it was immediately there, and I think that kind of opened the doors to make it a lot easier for us to actually work together. And so we've got this friendship that's there, and we trust each other. And you really, with this story and with this process, you really do have to trust each other.
Right. And did you guys at all have to go to Naughty Dog and say, listen, we're going to need to go to Bora Bora for the weekend. We got to
So-
gel before we start
yes.
working together.
Because
What were all
that's
the cool
what it
trips you
takes.
guys did on the company dime?
Well, it was the Concorde everywhere.
Yeah.
From the Valley to Culver City.
Did they recommission
So-
those? Do those even exist anymore?
You go back in time. It takes.
Naughty Dog has a time machine.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
But we can never get up to 88 miles per hour on the 405, so that's what keeps us from.
Actually, I've talked to Troy about the kind of the voice acting process. He came from, he was doing music stuff, and then there was somebody recording some stuff down the hall, and he's like, I want to do that because it sounds like they're making money over there, and I'm not making any money in here. But you actually came from actual, film and theatrical acting, and now you're moving in. You're doing a lot of. I mean, this is probably the biggest. I think it is the biggest female role in video games right now, which is a really big deal. That guy is not giving up. He still wants to be on camera. So what was it like for you kind of transitioning from that side of things into this?
As a gamer, this has been super exciting. But not only, I mean, yes, it's one of the biggest female characters, but also, to me, I think she's the coolest female character.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she's 14 and she's just really tough, and I feel so lucky to be a part of this particular game. And this is my first video game.
Yeah, no pressure. It's just going to be one of the biggest ones.
So, yeah, boom, drop
not getting
in.
your feet wet at all. You're not doing like a Pokemon game. No, you're going to do this game.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Pokemon
Nicole
would be
Zavala is
awesome,
just
though.
crying, though. She's like, Pokemon's huge. What are you talking about? Guys, we have a lot of questions from your fans at G4TV, hashtag Feedback Live. They've been sending questions for a couple days. Moy from G4TV.com.
What up, Moy?
Hello.
Hi.
Has all of your questions.
With my
So,
lovely
Moy,
Alienware
with your
laptop.
Alienware laptop.
Powered by Alienware. I have one question from an Alienware follower. Josh wants to know, what is the biggest similarity you guys have with the characters that you're able to connect with them when you did the voices? Or differences?
Facial hair.
Right. We're both white.
We are both white. Caucasian is what they prefer.
We are both 14.
I don't think they like to be called that anymore. I think it's just Caucasian now. I don't know. I think the relationship that Ashley and I have is very much of it's that platonic trust that Joel and Ellie have. I would say that's probably one of the most common grounds that we have.
Yeah.
Common grounds.
Sounds like a delicious coffee space, by the way.
Common grounds.
That was my journalist book.
The name of my first band was Common Grounds.
Oh, nice.
Not really.
We played tiny coffee shops around the country. What about you, Ashley?
Let's see. I don't think I'm actually very different than Ellie, which I know sounds a little strange. I think I am kind of tough, and I think that comes out a little bit more in Ellie as the game has gone on and as we've been shooting. I'm actually not that different from Ellie. I'm kind of a tomboy.
You cuss a lot.
I do?
No, you don't.
Okay, I don't feel like I do. I say holy moly a lot.
Holy moly.
But when I get angry, it comes out.
All right. You had a terrible childhood where most of the world got infected.
Yeah, I
and
just grew
So
up in an
we're using
orphanage.
that.
Very,
It's
very
not
similar.
bad, but yeah. Yeah, very
All right.
similar.
Hey, any positive questions over there, Moy?
That was kind of positive. Like,
The
what do you have in
orphanage
common? Sorry. All right, so you want darker questions?
Yes,
Let me
please.
hold on. So, how many hours of dialogue was recorded? That's what Dakota wants to know.
We're still going.
still
I don't
going.
know. I mean, if we had to think about hours, because again, it's not normal, going into a studio with the mic and talking to it and read the script. We're spending there's so much time that goes in before cameras are even rolling. We spend time really workshopping the scenes and making sure that we're dialed in, the characters, we know where we're at in the story, how this scene serves the story, how we need to, where we just came from, where we're going to go. So it's you can't just say how many hours have we been recording dialogue, because there's really so much that goes into the developing of the characters and the story. It's like, I mean, we've been working on the game for over a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we'll be working on it by the time the game comes out. So.
Yeah.
So
what I
relative
did.
to, I know this.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
that's
did.
There's a guy over there with a
Joel?
dart
Okay,
gun that
no,
went.
you're good.
Okay.
Working
Okay.
on it until okay.
Well, let's say I know this is your first game. Troy, you've done quite a few. I'm playing you as Batman right now.
Are you?
Yes, I am. But relative to the other games you've worked on, what's this workload been like?
It's totally different. Like you take a game like Lego Batman, and it was a fun process because it's like a cast record, and we thought we were just doing kind of like a animated short, and then they ended up taking that and putting it into the game. And a lot of games do. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy, we walked in, we recorded separately, and it was, here's your script, and maybe you get the other characters, being played back. You're like, oh, that's the conversation that we're supposed to be having, which works for some types of games. With this, it really is, I can't even say it's like shooting a film, because it's way bigger than that. Because you have to be thinking like a perfect example is if you played Uncharted, you'll see like these in-game cinematics to where there's a story element, there's some exposition that's being played out while you're actually playing the character. So my movements and everything don't necessarily read because the character could be, the player could be making Drake or Joel or whatever move around. So you really have to approach it from a different way, and that element becomes what's the core thing that we're trying to push here in this moment. So it's really something that we've had to kind of almost come up with a new way of doing things just to really kind of tell this story. God, that was a long answer.
Yeah.
Cut me off, you're going.
It was good.
No,
It was
you're good. So basically
I
what
was
you're saying
listening.
is you guys are groundbreaking. You are the
We
pioneers
are.
of the new wave of voiceover
You know what?
acting. It's
Yes.
fine.
We're so groundbreaking doesn't even begin to describe it.
You're
Oh,
so hipster
wow.
right now.
Right?
You're the most hipster
Wear your
groundbreaking.
We
glasses.
broke ground
the
before
voiceover
it was
actor.
cool.
We were.
Look at my tie, Blair.
We went
Look
to
at what
God
I'm
and
wearing.
said you need to make ground so that
so
we
that
can
we can break it.
ground.
And then we're going to look at it and go, Psh, I'm not going to break that.
already did.
Everyone's doing that now.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Come on, God, I've moved on to other things. Boy, another question from the fans at home.
So God wants to know. No, I'm just kidding.
course.
Nicholas wants to know. So kind of jumping off of what you were saying, do you think motion capture acting, like, and all the work that you've done, should be considered recognized by SAG and the Academy, and in terms of how much effort and ability you're putting in talent?
You want to take this one? Or
Yeah. You start.
I look at like Andy Serkis and what Andy Serkis has done from King Kong. I started to do like this. You can guys help me out. From King Kong to Planet of the Apes and you look at Avatar and what they were able to capture. I think when it serves the story, absolutely. I think it's the next evolution of not only film but especially with games. It's an interactive experience. You can't say, well, it's like playing a movie. That's a way to dumb it down for the general audiences. But I don't think that film is the preeminent destination for a franchise. I think that what games are starting to do is way beyond what film is. But as far as the performance, absolutely, because this is a pirate ship now, it's an alien planet. So you really have to be able to use your imagination. You don't have the costume, you don't have the makeup, you don't necessarily even have the props. You really have to create this and it's about what you quintessentially have as an actor. So.
So yes.
Actually, I see
Yes.
that
Just do that.
Okay.
You're going to take this and cut it down. And it's like, yeah.
yeah, it's fine. And actually, I assume you have to have much the same answer because having worked in television, you know how difficult this is as well compared to what television. And television honors are like you get an award every day. There's a television award show
Yeah,
for
it's
something.
true.
So,
The
I
new
mean,
Ducky Award.
Yeah, which
This
is
is-
just being made right now. Because you said that on the internet. But
Someone-
it's got to
oh,
be, it's got to be
Yeah.
something that should be recognized as well.
I definitely think this is becoming more, I hate using this word, but popular, because I think more people are sort of finding out about it, and when they do motion capture, at least for me, this is my first time doing it, so I'm like, it's so fun, and the possibilities with it are endless.
Right.
Of who you can be, what you can be doing, and this whole process is great because it's almost like theater. So you have such a long time with a character to develop the character. But yeah, I think it's going to be recognized more, hopefully, in the future because it's just as relevant to anything else.
You have to assume too that the games have become such cinematic experiences. The demand for good acting is not only there, but it's required.
Yeah, the
There
bar
the
is so
expectation
high
is
now.
that it
Yeah.
better be good, or I just won't play it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and that actually can't be said really for film and television. There's a lot of
Right.
really bad things on Cinemax that are great if you're single, but not so good for the Academy. But I feel like for you guys, like you can't really do bad acting anymore in a
No.
game because people will take that apart and people won't buy that game.
Right.
Which is,
Right.
bad for you.
Yeah, it's bad for everybody. I mean, because the onus is now on the developers to really, they have to invest in the tech. They have to spend every bit that they have to make the game look as good, sound as good, play as good, everything across the board. Because if you have one element of that that's off, people will rail you for it.
Right.
And which is similar to film, but I think with games, it's that people are way more scrutinizing with games than they are with
and
film.
a lot more vocal.
True.
About it as well. Boy, one last question for
All
these
right,
guys.
Anthony wants to know: are you either of you guys up for more roles in video games that we can look forward to?
Troy's retiring
I
after this
mean-
year.
I actually reached my quota. I have to quit now. Yeah, I absolutely. If people will hire me, absolutely. I want to make sure that like what I'm doing now, I don't want to Nick Cage myself into where I'm just like coming out with a movie every month.
Yeah.
It's like a
just
movie
we want you to Nick Cage
Yeah,
yourself.
that's okay with
Please
us.
do.
No, granted, St. Nicholas has provided many hours of entertainment for us. But yeah, as long as people will have me, I want to keep doing this.
All right.
I'm not working on another game at the moment because I only work on The Last of Us. No, I would love to work on more games, but I'm not working on another game.
But is it something you're looking forward to doing, though? I mean, moving forward, like, this is such a great experience.
Yes.
You like wearing
Very
your
much
pajamas
so.
to work. We get
I
it.
There's
love
that.
wearing pajamas to work.
And we have the suit. To me, honestly, and this I say this with all sincerity, this one is really, it's going to be hard to top because we're going to be spoiled after this, especially with this being her first game. I was like, you have
I'm
no
done.
idea. We've
I
got
think
it really, really good.
I will only work probably for Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley.
Oh, there you go. Right there.
So-
That's a pretty good thing.
They just
Good
give me
news,
jobs,
they're
it'll
going to
be
keep
good.
making games because they do okay.
They're doing okay.
yes.
So I think
Doing
you're
all right.
going to be all right. My last thing for you guys, for the fans at home, we spent this time talking about The Last of Us, but just anything you guys are doing personally or even professionally that the fans at home should be looking out for right now. We'll start with you, Ashley.
I do a lot of gardening, so if you want some great vegetables, no,
You want to give out your address? That's probably safe. Go ahead.
What am I? As in, sorry, to ask me again. What you just
People, anything.
Do it
that
again.
People,
Set it up.
I'll be
Do it
honest.
again, one more time.
I've already forgotten what I asked you.
I think
I've
you asked
moved on
what
to
I'm
the
doing
next
with my
one.
life. I don't know what I'm doing with my
no.
life.
What are you doing in your personal life that you want to share
What
with
am
the
I doing
fans?
with my personal
So
life?
that
I
you're
don't
a
know if I
real
want to
person.
share anything personal with
Okay.
fans. You
Professional?
shouldn't. Sorry.
Anything in the professional life that you're working
Professional life.
on?
This is.
I feel like
going
you're working on
south.
some creepy ass projects.
There may
that
be
you don't
people
want
in
Yeah.
the
to know.
basement.
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
talk
Much.
about it?
We're shooting
Well,
it
there is
right
that.
now in Romania because we can't really talk about it here in the States. The Last of Us is your answer.
The Last of Us, Much Ado About Nothing, which was independent, that Joss Whedon directed.
People know of him.
Yes.
He's a good director.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Good director.
All right.
Yeah.
Those are two solid things. Troy,
Yeah.
can you top that?
I'm getting married, dude.
That is
Yeah.
a big deal.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like taking over my life.
Weddings
and,
aren't hard to plan. What are you talking
for
about? It's literally
whatever.
the worst
You
4
don't have
months
to
of my
blame for
life.
any marriage advice. 'cause-
Oh yeah, that's let me tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That's been those things.
Just say yes. You're always wrong. Never forget.
Oh, no.
Never forget. But you actually just announced at Comic-Con, you tweeted out yesterday. You're like, hey, I'm happy to say that I am now working on this as well.
That was cool. Finally, be able to say that Resident Evil 6. I played Jake Mueller in that. So, I mean, games. Again, as a gamer, I'm pleased as punch to not only play cool games, but to be able to be a part of games that I'm going to play later. So yeah, Resident Evil 6. That was a really big announcement from Capcom that they announced the cast. It's really, really cool that they're branching out with that story. So yeah, this year is going to be amazing, and then next year is going to be even cooler.
Because you'll be married.
Damn
And
straight.
marriage is awesome.
Damn straight.
Right? She's over there, by the way. I'm not just like creepily doing this to a PA off camera. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really
So nice
appreciate
to
your
meet
time.
you.
Pleasure.
Always, brother.
Troy,
Thank you.
always nice.
Thank you so
Make sure to
much.
check out The Last of Us when Troy finally says when that happens. We'll drink and talk about it later, and then I will tweet what the date is later on today. They're like, don't ever say that, Troy. And in, I guess in about 2 hours, we're going to do our live 4-hour Comic-Con show from the show floor. John Barrowman from Torchwood, also from your local gym. The dude is jacked. I didn't know that, but I met him yesterday. Is going to be co-hosting with Candace and all of the other girls on the network. I wasn't a part of it because they didn't want any dudes but John Barrowman, apparently. And thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to Alienware for the laptop and the fans on at G4 TV for all of your questions. I think we did this, right? Big round of applause for the crew as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for everything. We hope to do more of this soon, but for now, enjoy the rest of your day.